Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today, I want to talk about the benefits of Michael, and today we're going to be talking about...
Today we'll be making one of my favorite soups.
Welcome to the
Tomato
JR72 Challenge.
I am Animated Mel, and I am your mental and wellness coach for
As always, perfection is not needed, but consistency.
We must first lovingly accept what is. You can't heal a body you can't.
We're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
If you talk about how much you hate your fat, your body has been working all this time to keep you alive. I don't think anybody in my circle understands impossible. There we go. Get hype. Get that energy up.
It never gets old. The little intro never gets old. I'm like, what? In the background.
that the intro, that's everything right there, man. It helps,
telling you.
Get you going.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, family? I hope you guys are ready. We had an incredible live stream with Sasha a couple of nights ago. What was that, Sunday when we did that? Or Monday?
Saturday. I think it was Saturday night. Mm-hmm.
Was it Saturday? Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
It might have been Saturday night. Anyway, if you didn't see the first interview or the first live stream me and Sasha did from last week, you need to go check that out. We're going to be building on more of that as we are doing our best to enlighten you all and really inform you about the benefits of gut health and the benefits of Sasha's upcoming course, which we're going to be weaving in between our fasting challenges as we progress through the rest of the year. So, Sasha, how you feeling tonight? What's going on?
I feel good. I feel really good. I'm excited about the program. I'm like a child. I'm super, super thrilled about it. But I'm also recognizing that gut health is one of those things where a lot of people get complacent about it because it becomes their norm. They get used to having gas, bloating, indigestion, reflux, constipation. And it kind of is like, it forms part of their identity almost. And it's like, well, I've always had that since I was a kid. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but it's okay because I was once there. And I know that when you don't know, you can't do better. And that's the reason why we have kind of worked together to put this in place so that people can have the information that they need at their fingertips. And then it will prompt them to do better. And while doing better, it's going to improve their fasting, right? And that's what we want ultimately. So I'm excited, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So, I noticed that in general, people, their diseases kind of become a part of them, or it's like even like a pet, and it's part of their identity. So this actually speaks to the mental, the building mental fortitude and building your mental constitution throughout the journey. You want to make sure that you are separating yourself from your diseases. You are not your diseases, your ailments, or your circumstances. And in order to really progress to the level that I think most of you guys are looking for, you're going to have to start creating that separation. It's almost, Stephen and I used to talk about your thoughts, and people will get upset at themselves because of their thoughts, thinking that, oh, these are negative thoughts, these are bad thoughts, and they identify with their thoughts. But one thing that I thought was very interesting, if you guys ever quiet yourself and you just think and you listen to your thoughts and you realize, wait, I'm listening to my thoughts. It's almost like you're listening to someone else talk, and you have the ability to accept or reject that information. You also have the ability to combat that information. You can actually actively combat it with affirmations. So the same way that you are not your thoughts, you are not your dis-ease. So we have to disassociate with it. And I think, Sasha, as you were mentioning earlier, now we have solutions. So we don't have to accept what it is anymore and get over it or get along with it. We can actually fight back.
Absolutely. And I love that's kind of a great segue into my first point. because obviously today's topic is 3 simple ways to improve your gut and lose weight at the same time, right? And that brings me to my first point, because a lot of times when we talk about digestion, okay, there's almost this synonymous thought that digestion is gut, like your bowels, okay, or it's your mouth. You're eating something, it goes to your stomach and then out the other end, and that's kind of the main gist, if you put it,
Right.
of the whole digestive conversation. And it's not wrong. It's not wrong, but there's a lot more that goes on, right? And so my first point, probably the most simplest point that I always speak to in-house clients about when they come in and I'm looking at their blood, okay? I mean, whenever a digestive situation comes up in the blood pictures, the first thing I say is, when you're eating, are you eating on the go? Or are you sitting down? And they're like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm eating in the car. Sometimes, you know what I mean? And it's not even a thought. It's like sometimes, because different situations, and we live in this fast-paced world where we pick up something on the run. Oftentimes we're busy, right? And I do it myself. I'm not going to make out like I'm perfect. I'm here at the center sometimes, and I'll grab something in between. But I've started to notice that when I do that, I will have a little bit of bloatedness, you know, or I will have a little bit of gas later on during that day. And why that is because we are like intrinsically kind of wonderfully made, and it's a communication that's happening all the time. There's communication pathways that are taking place. Now, imagine this, when you are about to eat something, back in the old days, and I don't know, I'm going to sound really old now, but when I was young, right, my parents would say, come and sit at the table, okay? And let's say grace. That was what we did in our house, okay? And why that was because they were Christians, and that's just what they did, right? However, what you come to realize is there is a scientific practice that's being done, even in that religious ideology. And it's very, very important, because it's done in every religion. It's not just a Christianity thing. Islam is done in the same way. They say Bismillah. Do you understand what I mean? There is different ways that it's done. And the reason why it's done is because you bring your body to a state of stillness, quiet in that moment. And it's a gratitude, mindful practice that is being done. Do you understand what I mean? It's like you all of a sudden take stock that, hold on, there's food here. It's been prepared for me. It smells delicious. And now I get to partake in it. It's a moment of just, thank you. When you do that, it's not just about doing that. It's about how God has designed us. When we're doing that, it's sending messages. So actually, there's a mechanical reaction that takes place when you do that. So when you, actually, there's a mechanical and chemical. There's 2 of them that take place. When you do that, and you begin to think about that food, and the smells of all those foods come up into your nostrils, you begin to salivate. There's a reaction, and it's ptyalin. That's the saliva that comes through. And that's where the chemical reaction takes place, because that is actually releasing amylase, which is a enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates. So it's getting ready to break down food. And by releasing the ptyalin, it sends a direct message to the stomach. And the stomach's like, oh, something's coming. Hey, let's get ready. Hydrochloric acid, where are you? Let's get ready. And it's bubbling, it's bubbling, it's bubbling. That messaging is really important. When we eat on the go, if I'm in my car, okay, and then this happens, and I'm on Bluetooth and I'm talking to my daughter about, make sure you do your homework and blah, 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 before I get home, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. And I grab something, even if it's just an apple. I'm not conscious or thinking about give thanks for that apple. I'm just like, yo, let me just and carry on talking to her. It misses that whole messaging component. That whole component has been skipped. And lo and behold, later on, I have this bloated feeling from a bloody apple. It's just an apple. So that's one of the simplest steps that I always say to people when they come into the center. First step, be mindful about your food. You know, and it obviously I promote healthy foods. That's what I do. Right. Even with the unhealthier foods, even with the foods that are not ideal foods, okay? Because it happens from time to time. We are human. We don't want to, but it happens when you're on the go and you'll grab something, right? So if that's happening and you at least spend those few minutes to just kind of identify, hold on a minute, I'm about to eat this. And you think about it, and oftentimes when you think about it, you're going to go, actually, I don't really want this. I know this is not ideal for me. And that's another great way to actually put it down. But if you practice it, you will find that it changes the digestive process. The digestive tract actually knows what it has to do. It had time to communicate, and that communication has actually provided you with effective digestion. So that's my first tip.
Wow. That is so, it's so interesting how some of our traditions that have kind of fallen by the wayside because of our modern lifestyle were actually put into place to aid us in ways that we never would have thought possible. As a matter of fact, as you're going through that process as a child or maybe even as an adult back in the day when we used to do that, you know, your mind is on something completely other than digestion. And this is really the power of lifestyle when you really think about it, because I used to think about back in the day. First of all, we used to like tend gardens and have farms, and that was a regular thing. But also, we didn't go to corporate America. There was no such thing as rush hour traffic. So a lot of the instances where we are picking up fast food and convenience foods, it just didn't happen. It was a very special thing, like a treat, or you're going out for the movies for, you know, family night or something. But most of the time during the week, you were having 3 square meals, if that, and you were always sitting down in a rested state. You always came together as a family. There was like this whole regimen that you did. And of course, as you mentioned, it gave the body to adjust, adapt, and prepare for what you were about to do. And interestingly enough, on the other side of the spectrum, as we look at like how the body adjusts to us actually eating, one of the signs, one of the ways the body knows that you're in order for the body to register that you're satiated, you actually have to give it, there's like a 20 to 30 minute period of time as you're eating. You got to kind of like take a break so that your body can register that you're even satiated. So if you eat too fast, you can overeat and not even give your body, like the body needs time to digest this food, especially as we look at the more processed foods, like the higher processed stuff.
And that's the thing, right? I love what you just said there, because for me, when I say about the mindful practice of kind of gratitude eating, that's the way I describe it. I think another thing is when you're in gratitude, right? Think about anything that you're really grateful for, okay? There's almost this patience when you're grateful. There's almost this, I want to savor this because I'm so grateful for this moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when you feel that feeling of like, I just want to be in this moment, I just feel so good in this moment, I don't want it to end, you will chew your food. And that is another key component to breaking down food. Because when you taste something and it tastes so good and you're in full gratitude of it, I'm a foodie, so I'll tell you. You want to savor every mouthful. You know what I mean? Every morsel, you're like, ooh, child, this is good. And that's how you feel. So chewing your food liquidates the food. And that is the mechanical part of the beginning of digestion, right? It's where you're churning everything. And it's almost like when you use the juicer. And if you've ever used a masticating juicer, it mimics the churning that your teeth will do. However, most people don't do what they're meant to do like a masticating juicer. You don't get it to that liquidy. You're just like 2 bites, swallow. 3 bites, swallow. Because we're craving and gravelicious. But you know, it's culture. We're used to, you got half-hour lunch hour. You ain't got time to say we've got a half an hour lunch hour. So, you know, it is promoted in the culture. We have been kind of taken away from our roots and the way things were done, the way my granddad lived, my great granddad. You know what I mean? I'm very fortunate. My granddad's 103, and he still has all the faculties. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's wonderful, right? And when I speak to him, he WhatsApps me, right? This is how he's in the future, right? He WhatsApp video calls me, and we have conversations. And it's funny because I really love talking to elders. They educate you on things that when I was young, it was like, oh my God, why are they talking to me? But as I've got older, I appreciate the depth of the conversation. I look beyond, the repetition sometimes and really
Right.
look at the messaging, because the messaging is kind of surreal. It holds weight. And I'll give you an example. I'm just digress a tiny bit. But so I do colon hydrotherapy, which is still gut related. So I haven't digressed fully. But my granddad and I talk a lot, and he knows I run this business. And we were talking on on WhatsApp video call. And he said to me, "Where are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm at the center. I've just finished with a colonic client." And he said, he's Jamaican. He said, "Oh, what that?" And I said, "That is when you flush somebody's waste." And he laughed. And my granddad has the best laugh ever. He belly laughed, right? Couldn't stop laughing. And I said, "Why are you laughing?" And he said, "That is not a job." I said, "What do you mean?" "Yes, it is. I get paid to do that." He said, "No, sir. That is just a washout. It is something that we've always done. It is not something new. When we were children, okay, before we would go back to school, everybody would have a washout, every single child before. So it would be every season where they break up from school, they would have a washout before they would go back into the school term." And I thought, wow, I had no idea, by the way. And I thought, wow, really? And he said, "You should ask your dad." I continue tradition with all of my children. He said, "I don't know what happened when it came to you English lot." I'm like, oh, wow. But, it made me laugh, because I thought, I'm here doing this practice. And yes, I've learned it and I'm doing it. But it's something that my grandfather was doing years and years ago in the 1950s, 40s. You know what I mean? So it just goes again that we it's like Sankofa. We're just getting back what was once lost. It's just already there, but we're just now realizing, hold on a minute, we strayed a little bit too far, and we need to now remember what we once did, because what we once did kept us well.
That is I love that. And I love that. First of all, man, what a blessing to have access to someone who is 103 years old. Like,
he's fabulous.
It's so crazy how, first of all, and he has his faculties, right? So you can actually have a conversation, enjoy him. But it's interesting how they depict our elders as a nuisance. Like when you look at TV shows and cartoons, just society nowadays, modern society, especially in America, I'll speak for America, our elders are looked at as nuisances, and they're not. They're the complete opposite. But I think that was done on purpose. We were purposely separated from our elders in order to disrupt those kind of natural teachings and things that you're learning even now. One of the things that
my granddad, sorry to cut you, I'm going to plug my granddad. So he has his own interview. They interviewed him for his 100th birthday. So I will tell you to check out his video. You will be so surprised. He gives you his whole story of how he went to England and what he done and where he is now. And he was honored by the Queen in 2014. He was taken to Buckingham Palace at the time for dinner and honored for his service to charity, for an organization that he ran for West Indian senior citizens. Imagine that. He's the oldest one, but he's running it for people that are in their 60s, cooking for them and all sorts. And so, yeah, I'm super proud of the lineage. And yeah, that's my little plug for my granddad. I'll definitely tell you guys to check him out. His name is Norman Mitchell, and the interview is Norman Mitchell, 100 years old.
Okay. I wonder, now I'm curious if I've seen that, because I know that people do those interviews when someone gets 100 years old or something like that, 105, they'll do those interviews. But Norman Mitchell, I'm definitely going to look for it. I'm interested.
Yeah, no, he is fantastic. And the great thing was, right, I watched the interview, and it was COVID. That was the year that he turned 100. So we couldn't throw him a 100th birthday party because of everything that was going on. I couldn't get there either. And so we watched this interview. I watched it because this was our way of everyone in the world of family to watch it as well. So we watched it. I was on the phone with my cousin, and we were like, what the? Because he could remember dates and times, and we're talking 1952, and he was like, yes, I paid this how much money. And it was like, how do you, I don't even remember what I ate a month ago. What?
Right.
So it was just really incredible, because I thought oftentimes we almost associate age, right, with all of these ailments and all of these, neurological diseases. It's almost become synonymous. When you hear that somebody's getting up there in age, you think, oh yeah, they're going to get a bit of dementia, they're going to get a bit of Alzheimer's. And no, he does not. He does not.
Well, I mean, that just goes to show you that age and dementia or Alzheimer's or diabetes or any of the diseases, cancers, and I had a lady on the show, I think her interview came out Sunday, talking about how she was a hospice nurse and some of her clients were in their 30s. Like, I asked her, I said, was it regular to see clients in their 30s? She was like, yeah, it was regular to see clients at the hospice care in their 30s. I'm like, that's absurd. I always associated hospice care with, I mean, at least 60 plus, at least, right? But now we're at half that age and it's a regular thing. It's a regular, I mean, we talked about this on the last call. Like, we are so desensitized to young people dying. Like, first of all, the whole idea that you think 60 is old to begin with is crazy. It really is. But it makes sense because we're dying at 70 to 80 years old. So it makes sense that 60 seems old. But I mean, taking your grandfather, for example, 103, I mean, that was a normal thing for people to be centurions. Like, it was normal. It's not some big celebration, like, it's just duh, of course. So we have accepted a lesser lifespan and all of the diseases and ailments that come along with it. And that's part of what we was talking about earlier. We have to disassociate with these diseases. They are not a part of us and they're not something we have to experience. Exactly. As a matter of fact, we should actually become stronger, more wise, have a better memory, have better cognitive function as we age. When you look at trees and other creatures in nature, when we just look at nature, nature doesn't get diseased when it gets older. It becomes more established, which actually makes sense logically, right? You're collecting more resources, you're learning, you're growing, you're developing, you're coming better established, and you should actually flourish, not wither as you get older.
And this is the thing, tying it back to gut for a second, okay? I've got a stat right here which says 100 years ago, okay, so think about my granddad at this, right? 8% of food was eaten, cooked, or processed.
Wow.
Right? So my granddad still grows his own stuff in his garden, and he lives in England. The weather is not hot. We do not have subtropical weather, but he still grows things and eats that, right? He doesn't eat your KFCs and your fast food. He never has. He didn't grow up on it, so it's not something he's ever craved. And then you have 50 years ago, 22% was cooked food and processed. But now, today, we're talking 75%.
Wow.
So my granddad's day was 8% and we're at 75. And then we wonder why, the integrity of health is so different. You mentioned the hospice. Well, I was 33 when I went into palliative care. And my parents brought me home. Palliative care is a hospice.
Yeah.
I was told it's done for, and I was 33 years old. It's insane. And it just goes to show, right? This is where we are. So my second tip, because I want to jump to it, because I know everybody's listening, and I can talk for Britain, so I have to rein myself in. Rein yourself in, girl.
Okay.
But my second tip is a diet rich in enzymes. That is what will improve your gut, and you will shed pounds fast. And that's just the reality, because enzymes are what break down the food. Okay. A lot of times people are like, just eat a diet rich in, whatever you like. And the truth is, no, you can't. I mean, you can, but not for longevity and health.
Right.
You can eat all the white bread and, white rice and white pasta that you want, but then expect to be in that palliative care at some point. Right. But the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. It just goes that way. Right. But on a better note, on a lighter note, if you eat a diet rich in enzymes, you're going to get, my favorite, is leafy green vegetables. If anybody knows me personally on this call, for a fact, you will always hear me raving on about leafy green vegetables. You'll see me at the farmer's market kicking up my leafy green vegetables. You'll see me taking shots of wheatgrass. I am all about the leafy green vegetables. And the reason being is because when I had the cancer, And I never say my cancer. If you hear me, I'll always dissociate the cancer from myself. And I always say the cancer, because it was never mine. It was never part of my identity. It was a passing piece of mess that became my message. It was a test that became my testimony. Do you understand what I mean? It was never a part of me. It was something that was happening to me to allow me to move into the next stage of my life. It was a chapter in the story, not the whole book. So going back, leafy greens was something that I used as a really important tool in order to help my gut heal from all of the chemotherapy, but also to line the mucosal lining of the colon, right? There's something really special in leafy green vegetables called SQ. To say the real, for me, readable, it's sulfur kinovose, right? But I always call it SQ. That's all I've ever known it as. And what it does is it protects the lining of your gut, okay? And you get it as an enzyme from leafy green vegetables. And I know a lot of people are going to go, ew, I don't like the taste of that. I don't like, I get it. I do get it, because when I first started eating them and drinking them, I was used to bagels. So it didn't taste the same. I was like, what is this? It does not taste like a bagel. What is this? But your taste buds acclimate. Just like everything else, you can train your body to do whatever you want it to do. That's the way we are built and designed, right? And unfortunately, oftentimes we are training it to do all the wrong things based on our taste buds and desires, okay? But the truth is, if you start to bring in leafy green vegetables, your body will begin to crave them. It will want more of them. If I don't have greens, I don't feel great. Like I know something missing in my day. I'm like, hold on. There's something missing in my day. What did I do? And if I can't get my hands on any, the next best thing, which I have here, I always have a little jar in the center of algae, whether it's spirulina, whether it's chlorella, whether it's sea moss, any sort of algae. But I'll always have a little jar of algae, because if throughout the day I feel a little dip in energy, a little spoonful of algae in some water, and I'm good to go again. All right. So algae also has the SQ enzyme. So if you can't get your hands on a big bunch of greens and you don't have the time, having a little jar, you know, in the side of your car, even in your glove compartment, it's a great way to make sure you're getting in your greens. Now, enzymes aren't just found in greens, okay? They're found in your fruits, your veggies, your fermented foods. Sometimes people can't handle fermented foods straight away. All right, because if they're coming from a really toxic kind of standard American, standard English diet, right? They're not really, their gut bacteria, the microbiome isn't really ready for that fermented food, okay? And how that works in the system, which we'll cover a little bit more in the course. So I don't want to go into that because it's quite in depth, but enzymes rule effectively, okay? You need enzymes. Every cell in the body uses enzymes. So it is not really like something that is negotiable. In excess of like 100,000 enzymic particles are around and inside the cells. We need them. So I mean, if you're trying to live life and you're not focused on what I mentioned, like leafy greens, fruits, vegetables, and fermented foods, you're going to get depleted at some point. At some point in time, the body's going to catch up with you and be like, hello, excuse me, I need what I need. And it does give you signs, which show up as symptoms, but those are just signs. Those are signals to let you know, excuse me, I need you to give me what I need to function effectively. It's like driving the car and not putting the gas in. Eventually, you're going to stop.
Yeah, you can only, and change your oil too, by the way, because people forget about that. You know, they never change their oil. But this is, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like our lifestyle we used to naturally change the oil, put gas in there, you know, check the lights. It was just a natural part of life. We didn't think about it. It wasn't about diets. It wasn't about, you know, anything extra. And this was the lifestyle that your granddad had. And I think that it speaks volumes that at his time, there was only 8% of processed foods. So what does that mean? It means that people, the microbes that are probably inside of him, they really don't exist in us because we are introduced to processed food so early on that, you know, the type of microbes that have been living in him for 100 years, it's probably going extinct in certain places, you know, certain cultures.
Absolutely true.
One thing that I found that was interesting though, so you had mentioned like fermented foods and stuff. When we talk about like sourdough bread, there's certain microbes, probiotics that are in sourdough bread or just in certain foods that other cultures of people traditionally eat. And I think that's part of the reason why when you leave America or even maybe Canada, I don't know how it is there, but it's probably better than America for sure. But you go to different parts of the world, you can eat things that you weren't able to eat before because they're made differently, different ingredients, different microorganisms. Their way of life or their lifestyle is still better or different than how ours is here in you know, North America.
You're absolutely right. Because okay, so a bit background on me. I grew up in England. I was a bit wayward as a teenager, and my mum sent me to Paris to go to high school. So I speak fluent French, guys. Woo-hoo! So I lived in Paris, and of course the diet's different. It's Mediterranean, okay, and everything was fresh in the sense that wake up in the morning and you can smell the fresh bread. There's a boulangerie on every corner, okay.
Right.
Now, I can't eat bread. Never even as a child could I eat much bread because I would always get constipated. I just had a constipation issue from the minute I started my cycle. It just was that. Right. And even probably before that. And in France, I wanted to try the bread because it smelled so good. And there were so many different types of bread. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it. Oh, lo and behold, Sasha could eat bread. Sasha really went to town.
I know she did.
For about a year on bread because it was like, OMG, I can eat bread and this bread is not making me bloated and like I'm not even gaining weight. So what is happening? What's in your bread, guys? Like, what is it? But it's the preparation, and the flour is not the same flour that is used here in Canada, in the UK, and in the US. Everything is ground milled. It's not the way processed the way we do it.
Right.
They're very
they don't have all the preservatives and stuff in it, right? Because they're making it fresh.
Because the thing is, their bread you have to throw away the next day. There is no put it on the bread bin and leave it for a week. It doesn't stay. It's rock solid hard the next day. You have to throw it out. So that's how you know the ingredients don't have the preservative to withstand being on a shelf. That's why they have fresh boulangeries in there every morning making the fresh bread for you. So yeah, I mean, that's just to tie into that point. But it is true. I believe, right, that there is a way to eat that is healthy, and we all know what that is. And there are changes or kind of adaptations that you can make to that when you're in different places. Okay. And my diet doesn't change. But remember, my diet, I'm coming from a background of severe chronic disease, which I healed, right? Naturally, the grace of God. So I will not introduce certain things because I know where I've been. Right. But for some people who are healthy per se, and maybe just have a few gut challenges, go into different places, they may be able to, implement a few additional foods that they wouldn't normally be able to eat in the US. And that's okay when you're on vacation to implement those things. But the most important thing is awareness, is understanding what foods do to you. And the only way you can do that is by healing your gut. Because once your gut is truly healed, you will know what works for you and what doesn't. That is the truth. Before you have a fully healed gut, you have no idea. Because people are walking around with sensitivities, intolerances, histamine responses, okay? And these are all due to intestinal permeability, which is basically called leaky gut. And you might have heard of that term instead, right? And what it means is that all of the foods you're eating, pieces of it is getting through the intestinal line and going back into your bloodstream, which creates an immune response. And that immune response is why you think, I can't eat avocados. They make me feel sick. No, they don't. Right. Your gut is harmed. It has holes. It's not functioning well. Avocados is a complete essential fat. It's a complete essential fat. The body needs it. It requires it. It gives you 60% of fat is what is made up in your brain. Avocado is a winning situation. You can't tolerate it because right now you have intestinal permeability. So what we need to focus on is not the fact that avocado is the demon, that why is your intestine like that, and how do we support it healing? Then you can gradually introduce avocado back again. And that's what this course is designed to do. It's designed to give you awareness of what's going on in terms of the gut, how it works at a microbial level, because that's where everything really happens. And then it's designed to give you tactics that you can implement over time. It's a 3-week course. You're not going to heal your gut in 3 weeks. That's a lie. What you're going to do, though, is you're going to learn tactics that you can implement throughout the R72, okay, while you're giving your body that digestive break, healing. And then you're eating for a day, and then you're healing, and then you're eating for a day, and then you're like, that's why it's designed in this way. Chris and I did not just throw a course at you. We thought about you. And in fact, you're very fortunate. And I know I've said this before, and I'm not trying to get brownie points, but the truth is, a lot of times when people have created a community as vast as Chris has, okay? And Chris, sorry, I've got to say this because it's just on my heart. When people have created a community as large and as vast as he has, they oftentimes compromise. Their conviction changes, and their driving mechanism becomes money and becomes power and influence and ego. This is the truth. I work with many people and many different brands in different ways, especially here in Canada. Okay. And so when I say this, it's not to stroke his ego, but it's to let you know that you have somebody that genuinely wants to see you heal and level up, so that when you level up, you share with your family and friends that you love, and that becomes a domino effect. And we get to be the change that we want to see in this world where they are trying desperately to destroy life and destroy quality of life. So when he brings forth a course, whether I'm leading it or not, pay attention, because the truth is, this is somebody that genuinely wants to see you win. He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't, truly. He can sell you anything, but he's selling you something that can actually change the terrain that you're living in. And your terrain is your internal environment. The gut is where things begin and end. Your microbiome, and which you'll see in the course if you decide to join, whether or not you do or not. The point is, the microbiome is responsible for what's going on with the brain, because the gut-brain axis, okay? It's responsible for what's going on hormonally. It's responsible for what's going on physically on your skin. So if you're seeing things coming up in your skin, that's gut, okay? If you're seeing changes in, what do they call it? Metabolism, that's gut. There are so many different areas that the gut influences, and I haven't even scratched the surface with that little comment. But I really, really, really want you to take heed and pay attention to the fact that there are so many people on YouTube. There are so many influencers, so many that call themselves gurus, and I'm this, and I'm an expert in that and the other. But how many of them are coming out of their wheelhouse and partnering with other people to provide you with things that they don't cover because they want to make sure there are no gaps? That is a big deal. I'm ready to launch my third point.
You rest your case. Thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out, because it's truly where my heart is. And yeah, it's been very challenging. You know, it's funny because like I want to collaborate. I want to work with other people. It's been very challenging making that happen for the very reason that you're talking about. Whether, you know, as big as my platform is, people look at my platform, they think, Chris, your platform's so big. When I reach out to platforms that are bigger, much bigger, they don't even want to talk to me. It's not even a conversation. They're so focused on, you know, really just growing their brand and providing information, whether it's helpful or not. It's just more content.
Exactly.
It's really detracting from the benefit that the community is getting. And this is one of the reasons why the AHA community is so great. It's so rich, because the people here are all looking for genuine benefit. They're not looking for fluff and all this nonsense. And as leadership, we are providing that, which also it's feeding into the community. And the community is like 6th man of the year, by the way. Like, even just the chat, like I got y'all's questions on ice right now. We're gonna get through our last tip and then we'll come back around to some of these questions. But you know, the richness of our community and the people that share their journeys and their experience, that's the reason why AHA is something special. There's nothing like a healthy alternative out there. There's not one community that even comes close. Yeah,
there isn't. And what I love about it is, right, it's inviting, it's welcoming. When you are on a health journey, you can feel so alone in what to do. I know I did when I was going through it, right? And this is a place where I looked in the chat, and I'm not in there as much as I should be. Sorry, guys, but I'm running a business. It's madness. But when I looked in the chat and I saw a super gut book club arranged by William, I was like, oh, Matthew, sorry. I was like, what? Like, this is just a member that's taken it upon himself to say, you know what? I know what we need. I love that. Like, to me, that's huge. That's the level of engagement that you want. That means you are creating change, because he felt that he could pioneer this area. Matthew, you better be in my course, by the way. But I'm just saying, like, he felt that he could pioneer this area, which I love, because so many people are struggling. And it just goes to show that AHA is not just about, you know, okay, we had some great results with fasting. But it's more than that. It's a family. It's a family where everybody wants to get to the best version of their health.
Yeah.
And I love it. So I'm happy to be a part of it. All right. So my last point is switch your facts. Oftentimes, okay, there is this propaganda, that's what I like to call it, that fats are so bad, they're terrible, stay away from fats. And you go into the supermarket and you'll see fat free, or you'll see you know, all this nonsense about fat being terrible. Well, I'm here to just get rid of that myth, because the reality is this: you can lose weight on fats. Okay, absolutely, you can. I have. And it's a proven fact. I had a client who came in here. She lost 40 pounds in 5 months. Okay. And she was on fat every single day. I had her on fats every single day. Okay.
We need that recipe.
Very important that she was on fats. She had to be on them because her body required it. That's why she couldn't lose the weight before. It wasn't that she wasn't eating a healthy diet. She was, but she had the mindset as well as, I don't eat fats. Fats aren't good for you. Fats are going to make me fat. So
right.
Because of that was her mindset. Exactly. Because that was her mindset, she almost cut out all forms of fat. No oil, no this. No. I'm like, what the? And I said, you're not going to lose weight like that. But, you know, people have to experience things for themselves. So she went away, didn't lose any damn weight, came back. And I said, are you willing to do things my way now? She said, absolutely. I said, great, let's do this. We worked together and she lost the 40 pounds. And I'm going to say she's managed to keep it off. It's been 18 months. She still looks great. She still feels great. And she still maintained her 2 tablespoons of fat every single day. Now, let me explain why. Okay. Not all fats are made equally. That's obvious. But as a person who looks at blood for a living, okay, the first thing you'll notice when we look at red blood cells is the cellular membrane around the outside. Now, anybody that was at the retreat, you remember me saying this to you because I honed in on it over and over and over and over again. Why? Because a lot of you are fasting and a lot of you weren't getting any fats. So let me explain. The cellular membrane is the wall around the fat, around the cell. That wall is made up completely of essential fatty acids, which are good fats. When you don't get your good fats, you give room for little cracks in that wall. And that's where the microbiome, which the ones that are not your good bacteria, the ones that are a bit bad in nature, start to find their way inside those cells and make a home and steal your nutrients. That's the way it's done. That's the way it happens. So I'll tell you this, when I lead a 21-day juice fast, which I haven't done in a while, but when I do lead them, it's really important that everybody has 2 tablespoons of fat every day. You'll ask them. That's what they're told. And they always wonder, but why? Why am I taking fats when I'm juicing? Because we're stirring up all the old stuff trying to flush it out. But hey, presto, we don't want it going inside the cells.
Mm-hmm.
So we protect the cells on the way out. The fact that I like, okay, and this, anyone that's listening and want to write this down, I use a product called Udo oil. Now, I'm not affiliated with them. I just buy them. They're by a company called Flora, and they're actually based in the US. Now, the reason why I use them is because they have the perfect ratio to omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. Where are they coming from? They're coming from your pumpkin seeds. They're coming from your flax seeds, your chia seeds, your evening primrose oil. They're coming from, what did I miss? Pumpkin, flax, chia, evening primrose. I don't know if I'm missing anything else. But those are the sorts of oils that are in there, okay? Now, you don't have to buy Udo oil. It's something I used when I was healing to create strength on myself. So I swear by it because I did it and it changed the game. It was one of the things that changed the game. So I swear by it. However, you can use coconut oil as long as it's virgin coconut oil. Because nowadays you've got coconut oil that's also been processed. We don't want that. We want the extra virgin coconut oil that when you open it, it still smells like a coconut. And it's very, very hard and dense.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you beat it and then it melts, right? Extra virgin olive oil, not the extra virgin olive oil. Now I'm going to say this very clearly. Don't go in Costco's and pick up the extra virgin olive oil that's mixed with canola. Read the labels. Read the label. It's very important. And hemp. Oh, that was also in Udo oil. Sorry, hemp is also in Udo oil. But yes, hemp oil is another one. And avocado oil. Those are the 4 oils that are essential fatty acids, right, that you can get easily and easily accessible, that you can take 2 tablespoons of, a healthy person, 2 tablespoons every day. That's it. That's protecting your cell wall. That's building a strong cell wall. That is going to improve your chances of having great digestion, and I'll talk about that in a second, but also the weight loss. Because now the body's not trying to retain fat. When you don't get the good fats, okay, the body's craving more fats because it's like, I don't have what I need, but give me more fat. And you got it from some bad source, so they would just want more of the bad source. Because look, I know I need fat to be able to function, but you're not giving me any of the good ones, so just give me more of the bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then we've got that kind of the good fats that are doing that, but then we also have to factor in that our brain is 60% fat. So when we're fasting, and I don't mean water fasting, I'm talking about juice fasting here, but when we're juice fasting and we are going into ketosis after those 72 hours, okay, the brain is now shifting gears because it's like, okay, I'm getting ready to use immune cells. I'm getting ready. So how wonderful is it to bring in some fats there? Because the brain's souped up. And now you've accelerated the weight loss during that juice fast too. Whoop, 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 whoop. There you go. So it's a mechanical situation that's happening in the body, but we're not designed by mistake. Everything is linked. So if you're unwell, so for myself, when I had the cancer and I was healing and I was doing the Udo oil, I would take 6 tablespoons a day. And that's because I needed more cells, more healthy cells, more brain function, right? So it was increased from 2 in a healthy the 6. I hope that is helping somebody. When you have essential fatty acids, it also increases your metabolic rate. So your metabolism is now, let's go. And most of the time as we age, it slows down because we're a bit more lethargic. We're not moving as much. We're not doing all the good stuff. And you know what? I'll tell you now, if you've been yo-yoing from fasting to when it's time to eating garbage and then back to fasting and then when it's time to eating garbage, you've messed up your metabolism. Yeah. Because that's what that does. So if that is the case, I'm not scorning you. I know I'm calling you out a little bit, but get on some good fats. Mm-hmm. Bring those in and you will be surprised how quickly you begin to speed up that metabolism and start to see a shift in the weight loss efforts that you're trying to get. I have so much more points, but I don't know if I should keep going.
Look, listen. They're either going to have to join your training or the next live or join the course. You know what I mean? This isn't supposed to be, I know it's hard you get rolling. It's hard. I got you.
Yeah.
But this is so see, this is the benefit of having these conversations though, because you can get tidbits here and there. I mean, we literally have a nice little tidbit we can apply to tomorrow. You know what I mean? Go get you some Uda oil and
Yeah.
start taking 2-3 tablespoons. If you got a major cancer or something, maybe
That's
6.
it.
And start protecting your cell membrane. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And you know, the propaganda. This is why I keep talking about propaganda, because people don't understand. They manipulated us. So when they were telling us don't eat fat is
Mhm.
bad, you know, they'll take one study or 2 studies funded by someone with an agenda and they'll blow it up. The news will run with it and it'll just make it seem like there's a scientific consensus, which is ridiculous. And all of a sudden now everybody believes fat is bad. But what do they replace the fat with? Like margarine and
Oh.
you know what I mean? Like fake food. So you take an organic food, you say it's bad, and then you give us in place of it fake food. And that's what they've been doing slowly but surely. I've noticed right now what's happening is Kellogg's and like the big cereal companies, the CEO said, look, cereal's affordable. We're gonna move from breakfast food to dinner food. Because with the economy being stressed, people being stressed right now, they need affordable food options, and cereal is a great option to be eating for dinner. Not only is it not a great option for breakfast, I mean, it's a horrible option for breakfast, but it's a horrible option for dinner. This isn't even food that your dog should be eating, but they're promoting it as a nutritious dinner. Like it's insane. But this is what happens. And we fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. So,
The thing is, right, this is why what you do and what I do is so important, because somebody's got to stand up and speak the truth, even if the truth is an offense to those propaganda agents. But at the end of the day, somebody has to be bold enough to walk boldly and stand up and say, we know that that's not the truth. We know that people are dying at a ridiculous rate. And they don't have to be, because oftentimes it's because they're malnourished. It's because their immune system is completely compromised. And tying back into the fat conversation, fat stimulates your immune system. Those cells, immune cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's colon cells in your gut. That's where your immune system is produced. So when you're bringing in those fats, that's what's happening. And we have to realize fats and oils in their natural state promote health. It's the refined and altered fats that destroy health.
Right.
Anything that we are refining and altering, we are changing the composition, and the body doesn't recognize it and doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, right? That's how they get us, because they teach sugar is sugar is sugar, like fat is fat is fat. Even though it's obvious that it's not, they teach us that these things are all the same, whether it's processed, whether it's organic, whether it's inorganic, and it's just a lie. It's just not true.
It's a lie.
Like,
absolutely.
And but for them, from a business standpoint, it's great, because I can take iron, right? I can take actual metal shavings, iron, and I could put that in your cereal, and I could say it's fortified with iron. Science tells us that we need iron, and there's iron in our cereal, and now we think this total cereal is amazing. It's fortified with iron. Yeah. Very helpful.
Don't even get me started, because I told you I'm doing this live tomorrow, right? And I'm fired up about it already, and I'm just like, so stay calm. Like, deliver it in a lovely way, in a loving way, from a place of love, okay? Because it just makes me so annoyed sometimes. Just the BS, the complete BS, and not with people that don't know, because if you don't know, you don't know. Like, it's not your fault. But the people that are pushing the lies, I just want to dance on them, if you know what I mean. Like, it's cheeky. It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
I know what you mean. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Let's grab a couple questions, and then one question that we had from behind the scenes was whether or not your course was going to, if someone was hearing impaired, whether or not the course would be able to support them. So I believe that question was sent to our support team. I don't
Okay.
know if we have any like special controls in AHA communities for that, but I'm assuming the information is going to be you're going to be doing Zoom calls. I guess maybe a closed caption, if closed caption is available. I don't know if you have that feature or not.
I should
But
do. I got the premium Zoom plan, so maybe can I take that away, that question, and
sure,
get back to you
sure.
to see if because I would love to make sure that they could take advantage. I think that's fantastic. I love
Yeah,
that. Great
yeah.
question.
So
Let
we'll
me look
figure that
into it
out.
and circle back.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's another one using words I can't pronounce. So you want to take this?
L-glutamine. Okay, can L-glutamine assist you with your gut during a water fast? L-glutamine. Okay, so yes, but why are you using it during your water fast? L-glutamine is a supplement. You can use it at any time, sure, but not specifically for the water fast. It has helped me suppress my appetite, and oh, you're using it as an appetite suppressant. Okay, I see. Okay, well, that is one of the I suppose effects of L-glutamine, but that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for. I suppose, I mean, Trisha, I don't know. That's the honest truth, because you can use it in that way because you already are. Is it designed to be used that way? Not really. So, I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel good on it? If you do, then continue. Listen to your body. Your body knows best. Ultimately, you have to pay attention to your body. But L-glutamine is a supplement that is very beneficial. I don't normally recommend people do it during their fast to suppress their appetite.
Well, Sasha, as an alternative, I don't know if you're aware, but Root, they finally did release their Sculpt supplement.
Oh, I'm using it. I'm using it.
Yeah, well, it's been on back order for a long time.
I bought 2 when it came out because I was like, you're not doing this to me. I want 2 bottles.
Yes, so it is an appetite suppressant, but we haven't had a chance to thoroughly test it with fasting yet. But I know some of y'all are definitely explorative out there. So
you guys should try Sculpt for sure. Then I would go with Sculpt, because one thing about Sculpt is designed for that purpose. You're not just using a supplement that is really designed to help with digestion. You're using a supplement that's designed to suppress the appetite, right? So I would probably go with Sculpt. That is a way better option. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that would be my tip for you, Trisha.
Let's see what else we got here.
But L-glutamine is good, by the way. It is good, but not maybe necessarily when you're fasting.
Okay. Here you go.
Will the gut cleanse address liver issues? Something showed up in my urine that shows sign of liver issues. The creatine? No, that would be the kidney. Okay, wait. So the gut cleanse address liver issues? No. And the reason being is we have a whole course on liver. We have its own course, because the liver is the workhorse of, the body and removing toxins. And we've got her own, she's got her own course. I like to call her a she, because, she's a workhorse. Multitasker, multifaceted. So yeah, she has her own course. So hold tight for that one. She's coming after sugar. So we have gut, then we have R72, then we have sugar, we have the next AHA, and I'm not sure if it's J72 or R72. I don't know what's coming next. I'll have to check with Chris. And then we have liver after that.
Okay, so stay tuned. But you guys want to get the first course, which is the gut course, because all stack.
I'll tell you now, the gut course is the foundation. Even if you wasn't to take sugar, which you probably need to anyway, but if you weren't, I would still say I would recommend everybody starts with the gut, because the gut is where everything is produced. And if you have a compromised gut, you're gonna struggle in other areas. It's just reality. Like, I get it. You saw something come up on a test, and your liver is where your focus is, and I get it, and I love that you're trying to figure out for yourself. That's brilliant. However, factor in this: the liver is part of the elimination organs. If you want to release some of the pressure off a liver, you are always going to support the other elimination organs. You've got to look at it like this. There's 5 people working on a project at work. One person keeps slacking. They're never coming in. They're just at home, chilling. The other 4 have to pick up their work. The other 4 are working overtime to pick up the slacker. And that's the same thing. If the liver is presenting signs, then it's time to start supporting those other elimination organs as well, starting off with your gut.
Yeah. There you go. By the way,
Yeah.
I believe Stephen was mentioning that the gut is one of, if not the first system that begins developing when you're an embryo. As you're
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's news to me.
Yeah. That's how important the gut is.
Go Stephen. I didn't even know that. Wow. That's wild.
Stephen's been researching.
I love it.
Yeah. He's been going hard.
I love that. Bible says men live to 700 and up having children. What happened? What happened was processed foods.
Processed foods, spraying the air, poisoning the water. Yeah.
The Bible talks about the plants, and it talks about God gave the plants to us, right? And everybody skips on that. When you go to, service, everybody talks. They skip that part because nobody wants to talk about the plants. But we were supposed to be eating plants. It was very clear. It was written. We were meant to be eating plants, okay? And the herbs are provided for healing, okay?
There you go.
The Bible is a very, very great book when it's instructional. When you really look at some of the stories, it gives you very clear understanding of where we have kind of just gone our own way, doing our own thing. And that's it. So, I do believe we can live beyond what we're living to now. Absolutely.
I do too. And the science will try to tell you can't. But one thing that I've noticed about science is it's always right until it's wrong.
And have you noticed it adapts? Once they know they're wrong, they adapt.
They'll adapt, and it'll act like it knew it all along. So
it's brilliant.
Right. Let's see.
Enzymes found only in raw food. Oh no. Okay, so did I say that? Because that's not no.
You did not. It's just a question.
Oh, okay. Let me clarify that. So enzymes are prevalent, right, in the raw foods, because in the raw foods, remember, this is just sun-fired food. Nothing has been interfered with. It's in its natural form. And remember what I said about natural form. It's the most potent. However, when you cook food, especially beyond like 118 Fahrenheit, those enzymes begin to kind of diminish. Do they disappear completely? Absolutely not. But they're not as potent as they are in raw food. Also, let me just note, not everybody, if you have a gut challenge or issue, not everybody can go straight to raw foods. Okay. Right. And the reason being is because the microbiome is the diversity is not there. You have a colony of one or more probably type. You should have a diversity of like 200. Okay. So when you don't have all of those different components in place, then unfortunately, raw foods are going to be a bit challenging for you to break down. And this again ties into the enzymes, because when you're breaking down leafy green vegetables, right, you may find it a little bit easier to blend them, right? Because it kind of breaks down it, and you can gradually begin to get to salad. Maybe you start with juice and then you move to smoothie and then you go to your salads, right? Or if you don't have a blender, you could always start by lightly steaming your vegetables. That between 3 to 7 minutes, if you steam, that's going to allow some of the enzymes to go, but not fully. You can always drink the water that you steam it in as well, okay? But it's going to allow for easy digestion. So it's really about playing with where you are on the digestive tract of health, because everybody's somewhere different. And that's why the course is really good, because I'm going to be touching on things. We're going to be going through, but the really important part of the course is not me lecturing at you, which happens on the Sunday, but the Thursday is where you get access to Q&A, live Q&A, so that you can say, hey, Sash, I loved what you said on Sunday, but for me, this is what happens when I do that, or this is what happens when I do this. And I can tell you in real time, specifically to you, what I would say and suggest. And that way, somebody else listening in that Q&A, it might be beneficial for them too.
So valuable. Like people don't understand. First of all, the setting matters, right? Like a lot of people, they don't like getting on YouTube, asking questions, interacting. So Sasha has set this up, an intimate setting. So it's going to be on Zoom. And also the group that you guys will be in it's a secret group. So you'll have you'll have that secret kind of cozy setting where you can feel comfortable to ask questions. Because I know with gut issues, they're so
Yeah.
far ranging, they could be very personal, you know.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
always remember that the courage it takes for you to ask that question, number one, you're going to be able to begin the process of resolving this thing. You don't have to feel ashamed about it anymore. And number two, you're going to help other people. And once again, this goes back to the richness of our community, because your question is a question someone else has, and they may not have the courage to ask it.
Absolutely.
So this is where just forget the training and everything else. Like being able to, the question and answer, the live interaction is so valuable.
And I'll tell you now, right, guys, and this is not to boost my own horn in any way, shape, or form, but you're getting a level of access that most people don't get. And not because I'm like, ooh, they don't have access to me. It's not that. It's that I run a center, and so I don't have the time to normally dedicate to, you know, really go deep with people. I do little 20-minute free consultations, but it's very much 20 minutes without next, you know, and I only have those 2 or 3 times a week. So this is an opportunity where you actually get to speak to me. I get to kind of really, if it's something that needs more attention, who knows that the next class I can actually talk about it in a wider context, because it may be something that affects more than one person. So it's really, this is for you guys. This is actually designed for you. It's not something that I've put on my website and it's for other people. This is for AHA community. This has been an initiative that Chris and I have come up with. So I really want you to get the value from this, because like I said, it's not something that I've done in this way before. And, you know, it's something that I definitely think is valuable.
Oh, very much so. All right. Got a couple more questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Can healing the gut also help with issues like rheumatoid arthritis, rosacea, etc.?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we are going to talk about that in week 3 of the course. Week 3 of the course, we're talking about gut inflammation. Rheumatoid arthritis stems from gut inflammation. Rosacea is a skin condition, starts in the gut inflammation. Gut inflammation is insane. If you know how, I didn't want to start talking about it because it is so intense, but we are going to go into it because that whole of week 3 lesson is just about the inflammatory response in the body, how it's happening, how we can stop it happening, okay? And the steps that you can put in place to really change the terrain. And I'm telling you now, these inflammatory responses are typically because the lining of your gut is compromised. So we are going to work through a protocol to get that sorted out for you.
There we go. All right, y'all. This is the last question of the night. Christopher.
Starting with the water fast. Much stuff can I put in my water till it's not considered a water fast? Oh, this is for Chris. This ain't for me.
Christopher, what are you talking about? He's like, yo, how much food can I eat before it's not? Oh man, listen. Water fasting is a very interesting thing, man, especially in modern times. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a holistic answer. Traditional fasting is dry fasting. That's no food, no water. Water fasting is a new concept where we don't feel as comfortable doing dry fasting, and rightfully so. We're extremely toxic, and so we supplement our fast with water. That's water fasting. You have the fasting purists, which I taught originally, like the first 4 or 5 years of AHA. I taught as a fasting purist because I wanted you guys to have the best results, uncompromised. There are certain things you could add to your water fast that won't take you out of ketosis and will benefit you, but you got to be very disciplined not to continue adding more and more, because I always go back to that book. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want milk, right? Like it's not good enough just to have the cookie. You're going to want the milk, and then you need a napkin, and then you want to cut your hair. You want to sweep the floor. The mouse goes crazy. So I stayed away from telling you guys, well, you can have this and you can have that. But what I will say is this: herbs, natural herbs, we're talking whole vitamins, are typically okay to take with your fast. They're not going to take you out of ketosis. And then typically these herbs are going to actually help benefit you, whether it's detox, helping you sleep, helping mental clarity, things of that nature are always pretty safe. When you just say how much stuff can you put in the water like that, I can't even answer that because it's like, what stuff are we talking about? But yeah, I mean, you know, we've got the appetite suppressant herbs that AHA has. Hopefully those will be available next month, God willing. We mentioned earlier the Sculpt supplement that Root has. Once again, we're still looking to test it more because we just haven't been able to get our hands on it. But yeah, there's some options out there. You just don't want to be eating anything. And then I'll leave you with this. Infused water is also an option. You know, look, Sasha mentioned juice fasting earlier. Juice fasting is extremely beneficial. So as long as you're not doing a pure water fast, you really do have a wide range of options as far as what you can put in there, stay in ketosis, continue getting the benefits. Maybe juice fasting might be right for you, where you do, you know, like let's say if you were going to do a 3-day water fast, do like a 9 or 14-day juice fast instead, and, you know, get amazing benefits from that, and then, you know, going from there. So
I agree with that because I was too toxic to go straight to water in my case. So I often say, if you're new to fasting, if you're coming from a serious condition and your body, you know, you've been through a lot of like chemo and all of this stuff, water fasting may not be the initial option. You may want to kind of dip your toe in the water with some juice fasting and then get good at that, and then, you know, progress, because there's levels to this.
Right. There's definitely levels. I see y'all got a lot of questions. Listen, we are already over time, but Sasha is going to be coming back.
Yes, I'm here tomorrow.
She's here tomorrow, so you guys can come back, ask some more questions. And of course, for those who are bold enough and willing to make that investment, the gut course is going to start May 5th. It's
on Sunday.
It starts on Sunday. It's $119, right, Sasha?
It's a steal.
This today, and even the live stream from the other day, we're just playing right now. Like, yeah, I'm telling you, because Sasha, when we were at the event back in Tennessee, the level of depth you go in, listen, y'all better come with your notebooks, right? Because you're going to get a tremendous amount of information that you can apply and start seeing changes. So, Sasha, any last words? What you got for us?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm really excited, guys, and you need this. Forget that I'm leading it. You just imagine, okay, and this is really truthfully, just imagine that you're in a situation right now and you don't feel your optimal self, whether it's you're in symptomology or whether you just don't, when you look in the mirror, you don't see who you want to see, right? Whichever end of the spectrum you're on, okay? If I told you that knowledge and gaining some insight into, one, how you can change a situation internally by understanding your microbiome is the missing key. It's that tiny piece of the puzzle that can fit everything else that you've learned so far, everything else that you've been doing, but you haven't reached exactly where you want to go to. That was the moment for me, guys. I'm telling you now, when I was healing, I was like a student studying for a master's. I was reading everything and anything. Like I studied more to heal than I did when I was in university. That's to tell you, okay? And well, I mean, pain was the greatest motivator. Nobody wants to die, so you do the most when you don't want to die. But when I understood about my gut, that was why I became a colon hydrotherapist. I mean, the reason why I went into studying stool was because, hold on a minute, are you telling me that what goes on in my gut changes the game in my cancer? Are you telling me that what goes on in my gut changes how I feel in my mind? What? Changes my hormones and can slow down this bloody menopause? Like what? So when I realized that, yo, the gut is like powerful. It is the second brain. It really is. Yep. I was like, oh no, I need to study this. And there was two options. There was colon hydrotherapy, or there was gastrologist. You know, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to go down the medical route. I don't want to do that. And I did consider it for a minute because I thought it's even more in depth, you know. But then I thought I don't want to prescribe drugs. I don't want to be confined or constrained by a medical body over me saying, you can't say that, you can't do this. So I thought, all right, colon hydrotherapy is still studying. It gives me insight into the gut, but I still have the freedom to say what I want.
That's what we need.
And so that was the option that I went down. And as I've done it more and more, the more I began to see how really incredible our mechanisms are, our connections are. I want to give one story before I leave, and I know we're over time, but it's really important. It just came to my mind. There was a lady that came to see me, okay, for colon hydrotherapy, and I didn't know her before, a new client, and she came in, and this was just after COVID, just as COVID was happening, before we closed up shop, okay? No, that's not a lie. July, when we opened back up, that's when she came. So she came, and I'm doing her colonic, and nothing much is moving. I don't know if anyone's ever done a colonic. What's happening is you're flushing water in and water's coming out, and fecal matter and undigested food and gas and sometimes mucus is all coming out, okay? And it's going into the wall where the septic tank is, and it's going out, okay? There is no smell or anything, but you can see everything because it's clear. I also have a mirror above the bed in my colonic room where they can see everything that's coming out too, because I want them to be able to see what's going on here, right? So we're just seeing bubbles. We're just seeing a bit of mucus, nothing crazy. Anyway, something in me, and I can only attest it to the Holy Spirit because that's my belief system. Everybody has a different one. But in my belief system, it was the Holy Spirit. And it said to me, tell her to release and let go. And in my mind, I was like, I'm not telling her to do anything. That sounds ridiculous. This woman is talking about Bahamas and how she went to the Bahamas just before the pandemic, right? And she's happy and she's giggly and happy. She seems great. Why am I going to tell her to release and let go when it just doesn't fit? It doesn't fit in what we're talking about right now. But in my spirit, I kept hearing, tell her to release and let go. So the third time, I said, you know what, Lord? Obeying. I'm going to obey. Obedience. Here we go. And I didn't know how to say it because it sounded stupid to me in my own mind, right? So I said, you need to release and let go of everything that's kind of holding you. And that's the way I put it because I didn't know how to put it. And as soon as I said it, the wire, the tubing, okay, for the colonic started to vibrate. And I'm holding it, okay? And she begins to release in words. She's talking to me, okay? And she's saying, how did you know? And I'm looking at her because I ain't know nothing. I don't know nothing, truthfully.
Right.
Okay. And as the thing's vibrating, which happens sometimes, when somebody's about to do a big release, it may vibrate, okay? So as it's vibrating, this dark, jet black looking fecal matter starts coming out like chocolate milkshake, but it's dark and it's filling like, and I'm just holding on to the thing thinking, please don't come out because this won't be fun. You know what I'm saying? And she begins to talk and she's saying, my husband killed himself from the pandemic, right? My husband killed himself and he killed our 8-year-old daughter. And I haven't been able to sleep, eat, And she's saying all this, right? And she's crying and she's just releasing. But what was so powerful is as she was releasing, her body was releasing. And I mean releasing like so much waste. I was like, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whoa. And I couldn't say a word because I wanted to cry. As she was explaining everything, I just wanted to cry, but I was in professional mode. So I was just not saying anything. I was just looking and letting her just release. Anyway, by the time she was done, she went to the washroom and I came into my other room here and I sat down like, oh my God, like what? Oh my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she comes in afterwards and she said, I just want to thank you. I've not been able to talk about it. And I came here not knowing why. I Googled a colonic place and I drove an hour and a half to come here.
Wow.
And I had my colonic, but I know something has shifted for me. So I just want to thank you. And I just hugged her and she left. And I'll tell you, to this day, she still calls me from time to time just to say, how are you? She doesn't come for colonics, but just because it was a poignant moment of transformation in her life for where she was. And why I tell this story is because the gut houses so much. It houses your trauma. It houses your memories. It houses those things that you think you've dealt with that you haven't. I encourage you to really look about your gut health, because oftentimes we're looking at, well, I've got a therapist and I'm doing counseling, but the body keeps score. It holds it inside.
Yeah.
And I encourage every single person listening, allow your body to release, because truly disease begins in the gut. So healing begins in the gut.
I am not adding or taking away from anything that you just said. We are going to end on that note. That was powerful. What an amazing experience to be able to have and share. Listen, y'all, I'm ready to sign up for the course. So I guess I'll see y'all on. I'm definitely taking the course. I'm definitely taking the course.
I'm excited.
You know what I mean? I'm here to learn. Look, the link is in the chat for those who are watching on YouTube. I did put it in the chat. For those in Facebook, it should be in the chat. For those who are on Instagram, the link is in the bio. Okay, it should be like the first link in the bio. And if you're watching this on replay, the link will be in the description box. So all the bases are covered. If you can't find the link, just message us and ask us for the link.
Yeah.
The course starts May 5th. That is this Sunday. It's $119. It's literally a drop in the bucket. It's one nice night out for dinner and drinks. We would blow the money in an instant in Vegas or wherever else. Let's take that little bit of money and let's invest it. And if it's not a little bit of money for you, because some people get mad at me, they say, Chris, these programs are not as inexpensive as you think. Okay. True. For those of you who it's not a little bit of money for, do your best to do, I don't know, Uber Eats, work a little extra, something, try, because it's going to be invaluable for you. Okay.
And you got to look at it. Generational health. What seed you're sowing today is what will reap for your kids and if you don't have kids, your nieces, your nephews, your friends, right? Your co-workers. You have to realize that every time you invest in yourself, it's not just for yourself. It's for the people around you too, right?
Yep. The
people
that are watching. Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. Have a good evening. Well, Sasha will be back tomorrow, so there you go.
Oh yeah, I'm back tomorrow. Same time.
Peace.